we live? All right. Welcome. Les Raymond here with the Mindful Movement. Thanks for joining me for another live practice. This is the second one. Got some good feedback from the first one, so happy to provide this some more to you folks. I need this tonight. So this is my practice, but I'm glad that you guys will be joining with me. I've done a lot of work today, like heavy duty yard work, that kind of stuff. Some work in the gym. So I'm really looking forward to just winding down where I am. This is mid-evening, so this is the time I like to chill out. I'm gonna do things a little bit different. My plan is when we do these to just mix it up a little. Today, gonna do a little general like joint mobility, just checking in with all the moving parts of the body. And then get down on the floor and do a little easy, some maybe really simple stretching. And then we'll sit seated, ideally if you can, and do a little short breath practice. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of self-imposed acupressure today, and then a real short meditation. So we're actually gonna, hearing that, if there's any props you think you want around, I like to do my seated stuff on a block. So I got a yoga block waiting for me. I got my tea, anything that you feel you need to support your practice, get your stuff situated. We're gonna start standing up. It's gonna be really easy, really slow. Nothing high intensity here. This should be for all levels. All right, so first, let's just kind of arrive where we are. So get a sense of your feet on the ground. Maybe take a look at them. Hey feet, look at one foot and look at the other foot, and then get a glimpse of both feet. And get a sense of what it's like to stand tall. So think of an intention through those feet, like a pushing down. You're pushing down through your feet, reinforcing a tallness, a sense of posture. All right, and we're going to start up here in this area, the neck. The neck is like a neglected area, especially for adults, it seems, and it could be a little overlooked. Now, that being said, when we start to move it around, if you're not used to moving your neck, it could be kind of intense. So I can't see you. I don't know how you're going to experience this. So listen to your body, be your best friend, and if something's too much, it's not a time to be pushing your limits. All right, we're going to start off just by looking up and down. So the eyes go up and you look up, and then the eyes go down and you look down. And you can go maybe a little bit farther every time. And don't restrict it just the neck. Let your whole body, let your body help look up. So more of your spine is involved. It's not just the neck. Just a couple more of these. What's it like? Move my head up and down. All right, and then we're going to go left and right. So again, try to stay nice and tall. Look to the right and look to the left. And if you can, get the eyes involved. So as your head goes to the right, get your eyeballs to the right. If you want to add a little more twist, you can letting the legs be involved and really turn. Looking behind you. All right. Now we're going to go kind of side to side on an angle here. And when we do this, instead of thinking of like your ear coming down to your shoulder, think of the top of your head reaching away almost on a 45-degree angle or even maybe more. So you are side bending, but try to reinforce the idea of length. Try to get taller and longer as you tilt your head. Notice I'll shift my weight when I do this. Sometimes if you take your arms and interlock your fingers behind you, it could facilitate just a little more continuous stretch of the neck. So if you like that, then do your thing and try that. I like that. All right, we got 2 more here. This next one, I've heard this called chicken neck. You're gonna bring your head forward and then bring your head back, tucking your chin a little bit. So as your head comes back, give yourself a little double chin, or maybe even a triple chin. Yeah. That one feels weird, huh? All right, this is the weirdest one. The last one for the neck here, we call this a neck glide. So watch this, just gonna slide my head to the side. So try to keep your head going north and south as you slide it east and west. That one's a strange one. A lot of people can't figure this one out. That's okay. If you can't do this one, doesn't mean you're a bad person. You might be a bad person, but not because you can't do this. All right, I'm kidding there. All right, let's work our way down. We're gonna go to the shoulders. Let's start with just big, basic shoulder circles. So when we do a shoulder circle here, for tonight, think of going as far as you can in every direction of the circle. So they're like dramatic, they're big, deliberate. And then let's go the other way. All right, we're gonna get the arm a little more involved. So now we're gonna do one side at a time, but with the arm. Let's get our eyes involved too. So you're gonna track your hand with your eyes as you make the biggest circle you can backwards with your arm. And let's go to the other side. Let the eyes follow the hand. If that makes you dizzy, then just lose the eyeball tracking and you just move your hand. All right, we're going to go back to the other arm, other direction. Let things loosen up. One more. All right, other side. I've always thought, if you think about what you want to be able to do when you're old, and just do that every day. So if you want to be able to move your joints when you're old, then just move them today, and just keep practicing moving your joints. All right, let's work this spine a little bit. So let's get a real gentle twist. So first, we're going to keep our feet nice and planted, about shoulder width apart, and just let our body kind of wind side to side. So no force around this. Keep it easy, keep it light. And then maybe a little bit farther. Again, you could use your eyes to follow along. That can make you a little dizzy. If it does, then don't do that. And you could release the back foot and maybe even go a little farther. Letting the back foot pivot and the hips getting a little bit bigger return. Shifting the weight a little bit as you go. All right. Let's just shake that out a little bit. Recenter. Okay, we're going to come down to hips now. So we're going to make little hip circles first. So you can just put your hands on your hips and just make little circles. Pick a direction and just go. Nice and easy. Just rolling the ball around in the socket. And let's go ahead and switch directions. So we're going to take this a little bit farther. All right, let's go a little side to side, and then we're going to make this a little deeper. So we're going to go ahead and grab your left wrist with your right hand and push your hips to the left as you side bend, and then come through center and just switch hands and push your hips to the right as you pull the other way. just side to side like that. Just trying to reinforce length. Only go through a range that feels right for you. The goal is to not get more flexible this minute. The goal is to practice and hopefully over time cultivating a sense of joy and a love through your practice. All right, we're going to go forward and backwards a little bit. So think of right at your hips. You're going to kind of hinge by pushing your hips back as far as they go, and then you're going to release your head down, get a forward fold. I like to grab the back of my lower legs with my hands and give a little extra tug down here. While you're down here, you can just shake your head a little bit, a little yes, a little no, a little side to side pendulum. And then go ahead and stand up and then take your hands on your lower back, fingers pointing down if you can reach there, just to give yourself a little support, pushing your hips forward and bringing your head back. We're going to do that 2 more times. So again, the hips go back, fold over, a little extra tug if you'd like. And then standing up and extending back. And last one here, hips go back, folding over. And the last back bend here. All right. Nice. Let's work our way down to the knees a little bit. Feet a little bit closer together. Hands on your thighs here. Bend your knees. Just keep them soft. And we're going to make real small circles here. So don't be a hero here. Nothing aggressive. If this doesn't feel right, if you have a history of any kind of issues with your knees, again, listen to your body. If it hurts, just skip it. Wait for the next move. And just switching directions as you'd like. All right, and then for the ankles here, let's just come up on our toes and then come down and pick our toes up. So just kind of rocking forward and back. Stepping up on your toes and then rocking back, pulling your toes up. And we're going to do a little bit of squatting, but I'm going to help you open up your hips just a little bit more before we do that. So we're going to step back into like the lunge here, or a half kneeling position. And the idea here, first to just get tall, so get a sense of how your posture is in this position. If you could get in touch with your pelvis here, think of tucking your tailbone under. So we're going to be pulling our pelvis into what's called a posterior tilt. Almost like if you had a belt buckle, you're pulling it up towards your ribs. And with that in place, just let your weight shift forward and back. So kind of opening up, I have my left knee down here, so I'm opening up the front of my left hip. Keep it nice and easy. All right. Now a couple of variations from this. So back to center here. What we could do is add a little bit of that side bend to this. So you could do this the way we did earlier with a side bend, grabbing your wrist, or if you can reach, you could grab your elbow behind your head like this and give it extra pull this way. So you could come forward and then add a little side bend. And then a little twist too. So taking your left hand, putting on that front knee, your right hand could come back to your low back, come forward into that stretch, and then turn your torso to the right over that front leg. Nice. And the last one, variation, would be bringing the front foot out to the side and then coming forward, kind of opening up this groin a little bit. Nice. And then we're going to go through those variations on the other side. So switch sides. First, reset your posture. So think of like pushing down through your knee. so that the crown of your head is as far from your down knee as possible. Tilt your tailbone under a little bit and then come forward. And we're just going to rock forward and back a little bit. If this bothers your knee, cushion under your knee would help. And then on the next one, you do that side bend, so grab your elbow behind your head and then come forward and then side bend, a little stretch. And then the second variation, putting the hand on the knee, the other hand on the small of the back, come forward and then twist. Just making space in the body. I find that these routines, these real gentle routines, are they just open up the body so that when you go to sit, to do breath work or meditation, now the foot coming out to the side, it's just easier. It's just so much more comfortable. The body just invites you into that seated position. Otherwise, I feel like I'm doing a lot of work just to sit upright. And I feel like that work becomes kind of a distraction to the practice. All right, now, I promised you some squats, so let's try that. Let's get in there from down here. We're already down here, so let's put your hands on the ground and see if you could get your feet under you. And if you have to have your heels up here, that's fine. But if you're ready, see if you can get your hands off the ground. And if it's in your practice, let your heels come back down and come into a full squat. And just notice what that's like for you now. And we could practice that transition a little bit. So coming back up on the toes with the heels up, and then letting the heels come back down. If you can't bring your heels back down, that's fine. Just stay up here. And then we could play from here too. So pick whichever one of these positions you want to work with, either feet flat or heels up. There's no right or wrong answer here. And then let's start moving the head a little bit. So let's look over our shoulder. And what I like to do is block my knee with one arm here. So when I turn, this leg doesn't collapse. I'm going to reinforce that with this arm down here. And I get a little extra stretch when I do that. And now to go even bigger, we're going to go real wide with the arms. So fingers wide, energized arms, and we're going to open up. So one arm is blocking that knee and the other one is reaching away. Really making some space in the body. Let's try that on the other side. Nice and big. All right. And now let's sit on our butt. We're going to start. We're past the hard part. It's going to get easier and easier here. All right. Let's just move our legs around a little bit here. So think of swishing your legs side to side. Now, if you can't do this without support, you could use your hands on the ground or on your body. And just kind of switch. And if you can, try to do this. Well, if you need to, use the floor. The next progression would be just your hands on the body, like holding on to your legs. And then if you can do that, see if you can do it without your hands helping at all. Just gaining a little control. And what that's like. One side will feel different than the other. That's okay. All right. We'll get into a few short stretches now. All right, let's go wide leg here. Then we're going to pull one foot in. So my right foot is in. And I'm going to reach for my left foot with my left hand. And I'm going to try to keep this leg out. So I'm going to push down on my right thigh with my right hand. So grab, and I'm going to use that as leverage to kind of turn. What I'm looking for is my shoulders to turn so they're fairly lined up with the straight leg. Don't worry if they actually line up. It's just the direction we're working on. And you're going to start to look over your right shoulder. And then start to pull with the hand, pulling on the foot. And then turning towards that leg, we're going to grab that foot with the other hand. Now for some folks, this is just out of reach. So a trick to get into this position is to bend the knee, grab the outside of the foot, and then start to straighten the knee. And sometimes if you can't reach your foot, that's a way to kind of cheat your way in a position. And you get a nice stretch here. So the right arm and the left leg are actually connected behind the body. We have a muscle, it's called a lat, that attaches to this arm, and it turns into the thoracolumbar fascia, and it turns into the glute on the opposite leg. So your arm and your opposite leg are actually connected. And we're just giving a stretch to that fascia line. All right, let's go through those two moves on the other side. So that leg goes out, that leg goes in. Take a moment, just try to get tall again. Go ahead and grab the outside of that foot. Give some pressure on this leg. Use that leg for some leverage. And start to turn the body. Trying to get the shoulders to line up towards the straight leg. Look over that left shoulder and then start to pull yourself, pulling your foot towards you. Oh, and don't forget to breathe. All right, and then let's get that other variation. So reaching to the outside of the foot. Again, if you can't reach, pull the foot towards you, grab the foot, then let the leg straighten out. And just try to fold over that leg a little bit. Well, I need this tonight. I am feeling a little stiff. And then releasing that. We'll do a little bit of stuff from lying down, and then we'll get on our seat. So let's get comfy. I'm going to steal this tea here first. All right, so lying down. Let's take a moment and just notice how this feels. It's getting a little heavy for a moment. Letting the body get heavy on the floor. All right, with our feet about between hips and shoulder width apart, I'd say, start to swish your knees side to side from this position. Just nice and easy. All right, now we're going to bridge up here. So kind of pushing down through your feet so that your hips can come up, and just trying to open up the front of the hips. So try to get them as high as you comfortably can. Now keeping them up there, let's play around a little bit. Let's swish a little side to side while we're up here. That's a little different variation. All right. And then one of my go-to stretches for preparing for meditation, I'm just going to go ahead and put your right ankle on your left thigh here. Take your left hand and reach under, grab the top of your foot, get a nice secure hook. Straighten the left leg, and then let the right knee just fall open. And just breathe into that space, breathing into the front of that right hip. Working your way out of there, any comfortable way you'd like. setting up for the other side. So the left ankle on the right knee, reach the right hand around that right foot, let the right leg drop, and then let the left knee open up. This side, always more restricted on me. I could stay here for a long time, but that would be rude, I guess, to you guys. So let's move on. All right. So any which way you'd like, find your way to a seated position. So if you need any props, get your props. I'm going to bring my tea close. So I think we have kind of a theme this month of healing, which is a topic I love. I love self-healing. And there's a lot of healing modalities that I have played with over the years, and some really speak to me. And I really like the ones that are free, we could do ourselves. And one thing that I've found myself using is a little bit of acupressure. Now, I love acupuncture, but that's more of a time and money commitment. But acupressure, we could kind of do ourselves, and I think it's hard to mess up. We'll just play with a couple points today, some of my go-to points. So one, I like to use my thumb, and you could access, I hope I'm getting this right, the lung and large intestine meridian, just by kind of pinching your thumb. So at the base of where your thumbnail is, the sides of your thumb, you could take your thumb and your index finger of your other hand and just give a little bit of pinch there. Don't hurt yourself here. And don't worry about getting the point just perfect. And just holding it. So let's just be tall. And with our breath and with ourselves, feeling these points and seeing if there's anything that offers us. Sometimes I sneak up on Sarah and I pinch her thumb and she kind of melts. It's funny, it's cute too. One day I was getting acupuncture. This is a short story, I promise it'll be short, but I think it's funny. And I was with Diane Connolly. So she was on my podcast, I think one of our first guests, if not the first guest. And she's the co-founder of, I think, the first acupuncture school in America. It was formerly called Thai Sophia, now it's the Maryland University with Integrated Health. And one day I was on the table and I was telling her I was having interest in learning more about acupuncture. And she's crazy. She grabbed some needles, acupuncture needles, and she gave them to me. She said, "Oh, start trying it at home." And I thought that was bizarre. I was like, well, I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to put them. I don't know where the points are. And she said something that's profound. You can release that, let go. She said, well, the point is where you put the needle, silly. And, I had this idea in my head that this is a precision practice. And I don't think it is. It's not really about the preciseness of where the needle is. The point is where you put the needle, she said. And I got a kick out of that, but I think there's a lot of wisdom in that statement. The next one, so if you're sitting like this, I like sitting like this because my left foot is accessible right here, and there's a point I like to access right here. So this is kidney 1. This is where it all begins. And I'll do my best to describe this. I like to take my left thumb, so you could take maybe your second toe and follow follow that down until you get below, just below the mound of the big toe. So right in that like nook towards the bottom of the big toe, the mound of the big toe, but in the middle of the foot. And again, don't worry if you get it right. So this is your foot and your thumb, and let them build a little relationship. See if you could find a place where you could apply pressure with your thumb that feels like it offers something for you. And it might be a little tender, and I wouldn't shy away just because it's a little tender. But just give it a little pressure. Now, I primarily do this on my left foot, but I don't think there's any rules with that. I don't know why, I just don't feel compelled that I need to balance it out with the other foot. I feel like this is the point for me. It does a lot. If I use my right thumb, I could really dig in there. There's something about acupuncture and or acupressure that offers us another tool for healing. And it's, you know, it's not necessarily that you got to get the right point. It's not like, oh, I have this ailment, and then this is the point that helps that ailment. When I would see Diane, I would remember it was more about the conversation. It was almost as if the needles she was sticking in my body were making me be still. So that I had to be still, because you're laying on a table with needles in you. And it allowed you to remember how to be well. It was almost more like it was a reminder to come home to yourself. It was very powerful sessions for me. It really wasn't about the needles. The needles were just, they were poking you, but in a different way. Like, she would say, it's like a little yoo-hoo, like she was goosing me with the needles. Like, hey, you already know how to do this, and these are just here to remind you. And those lessons really stuck with me. I'm really grateful for them. All right, let's let that release. So hopefully, there's a sense of like ease in your posture now, since we've opened up the body. Maybe a sense of calmness. And we could get into a little breath work. I got 2 breath practices planned tonight. First, we'll do this Kapalabhati breathing. This is this kind of pulsing exhale. So we've done this a few times on the channel. I'm trying to repeat it so that people could, to help you build a practice and give you reminders of how to practice. I do think it's something you have to learn more than once. And the way it works, as a reminder, it's going to be a short, powerful exhale. It's all going to be through the nose. I know some people do it other ways, and if you feel like you can't do it all through the nose, then just do how it works. But the idea is to be tall, relaxed, but this powerful action in the belly. So the belly's not relaxed, and then immediately relax, and then repeat. So it looks like this. I'll do a real short dose to show you. So it's a powerful exhale through the nose, and then you instantly relax and just allow the inhale to come back in. So ideally, there's no working on the inhale. There's like working, there's action on the exhale, and then no action on the inhale. It just happens. Okay. We'll do, I'm going to shoot for 20 of these for the first set. Now, I like to finish these with a breath hold, an exhale breath hold. It's just what I like. Some people like to do it with an inhale breath hold at the end. You could do either of those. You could also just allow your breath to normalize and just see what happens. If you do, just let your breath normalize. You may notice that it's very easy to breathe slower after the set. If if that's the case, enjoy that slowness. Embrace that. Allow that to be slow. Okay. So, nice and tall. Inhale to prepare. Here we go. All right. That's round one. I think we have to do another round. Let's go a little longer. Let's go for 30. If this feels at any point like it's too much, just start your breath hold or your slow breathing earlier. So don't fight to hit 30. And if I get the count off, I apologize. It's hard to count and do this at the same time. I'll do my best. Let's inhale to prepare. Here we go. All right. Starting to feel good. All right, we're going to switch to another pattern. And I've heard this referred to different ways. And I've given up, I think, trying to get all the terminology of these patterns because I just can't find consistent information. I think I've heard this as Brahma pranayama, and it's an expeller breath. It's probably my favorite of all the pranayama breath practices that I know. But I do hold back and hesitate in my teachings with this pattern a little because it can be a little hard for people to do and a little uncomfortable. But I'm going to put it out there now. Try to keep it really light today. But when I'm doing my practice, I feel like this is always like the pinnacle of the practice. It's like everything leads up to this one. And then usually I'll finish with something really soft afterwards. But basically, you are exhaling fairly hard but fully. Like you're trying to squeeze all the air out. And then there's a kind of medium short exhale hold after that exhale. Now what's typically done is you bend over to help with the exhale to really squeeze all the air out. And then with all the air out, you get nice and tall and you hold your breath with the air out. And then the key is, not the key, but one of the components, when you're ready to inhale, you get very intentional and you fill up from the bottom up. And I find that with the air all the way out, it's very inviting to have your inhale come up with that sequence, which I think is a very powerful tool to retrain how we want to breathe in like everyday fashion, as far as the sequence of our breath, the air going down and coming up from the bottom up. I'm going to demonstrate one with a real short hold so you guys can see, and then we'll do 5, and you'll do them at your own pace because everybody's breath hold will be a little different, and I'll just give you time to play with it. But it kind of looks like this. And then you just repeat. So after that inhale, you go right into the next one. Now what I find is at first, the exhale holds might not feel very long. That's okay. Usually after a few repetitions, they're going to get longer. And they don't have to be really, really long, but I find you can get them pretty comfortably in the 10 to 20 second range, and that's plenty to have just a really great practice. So we're just going to do 5 of these. Keep them light. But if you feel invited to see where it goes, if you want to keep them not as light, it is your practice, and do your thing and see what it has to offer you. All right. On the whole, by the way, you're really trying to re-establish and reinforce your posture. So in fact, the chin is usually brought down, and if you're familiar with the bandhas and those locks, then you could deploy those at your will. If you're not familiar with those, we'll get into those another day. All right, here we go. Let's do 5. Allow your breath to normalize, and let's just take a moment to notice whatever arises. That's my favorite. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. We will finish with just a really brief meditation. I'm going to keep it really short, but I don't want to skip it because I have this bowl and I like making the sound by hitting it with a mallet. So if you need to change your position, whatever you got to do, I'm going to switch it up. And we'll just do a few minutes. All right, I'm going to hit the bowl. Not that kind of bowl. I'm gonna hit this bowl. And we'll start to meditate when you hear the ring. And then in a few minutes, I'll hit it again. And then we'll check in and say goodnight. Well, thank you. Oh, Sarah's joining. Hey, Sarah.
Hi.
Look, everyone, it's Sarah, the voice of the mindful movement.
There was a young viewer in the chat.
Yeah?
I said I want to say hi at the end.
Oh, that's sweet of you.
He's 7.
Oh, wow. A 7-year-old joining us. That is awesome. Thanks for joining us, 7-year-old. Does the 7-year-old have a first name?
She said her name's Violet.
Violet. Oh, that's a beautiful name. Thanks for joining us, Violet.
And hello to everyone else.
Hello to everyone else, too, even if you're not 7. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for letting me drop in.
Of course. Sarah's always welcome. Well, I feel really nice now. I feel a lot better now than I did when we started. So thanks for joining me for my practice tonight. I hope it was nourishing for you folks out there. And a reminder, self-healing is kind of the theme we're working on this month, and there should be a workshop coming up. So if you're into healing stuff, Sarah's offering a workshop. Do you know what date that is?
I do. It is September 9th. It is a Thursday, and I'll put all that information in the description box.
That's awesome. I highly recommend that. If you have any questions about anything we did today, put them in the comments. We'll do our best to get back to you. And thanks again for joining. I hope everybody has a terrific evening.